Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chilling Neigh Podcast, your premier VGC podcast, coming at you with an emergency episode.
Yeah,
I'm here.
I'm out. This isn't a regular episode, people. We emergency recorded this one. I had to interrupt the intro. This is different than normal.
Yeah, we clickbaited everybody on the normal video saying circuit changes, but it was recorded before today's news. So here we are fixing that, and now we're talking about today's news. It's gonna be crazy.
We dropped it. We recorded it Sunday and dropped it today, just not knowing that all the changes would be announced today, which is so funny to me. I love that.
It was okay. Well, let's dive right on into it because this is insane. Okay, so today we're recording on the Thursday, June 27th, where the Pokemon Company dropped news about the 2025 circuit, and there is a lot here.
Yes.
I'll just say the quick highlights, and then we can just dive on into it. So top 75 in North America only get their invite, and I think it's different by region. It's top 75 for Europe as well, and there is also now a BFL of regionals and ICs is combined at 6. Locals BFLs are 4 now. We talked already about locals and stuff like that in the earlier episode, so go check that out. Yeah, okay, let's just dive on into it. Thoughts? Anywhere you guys want to.
I love it.
Hold up.
I love it. I know I'm in the minority.
Tommy, can I cut you off?
All right.
Real quick?
Yeah.
If you guys are watching on YouTube, link to follow along with all these changes will be down in the description, just to let you guys know. We're not talking out of nowhere. So just the link will be down if you want to follow along.
Yeah, and so one thing I just remembered also, a huge change in the CP payouts. Like
Yes.
very random changes,
Yeah.
I want to say, but huge changes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, Tommy. You're going.
Tommy, go. You're hyped. Go for it.
I am hyped, bro. So look at objectively, I started playing 23. It was a 300 bar. It started in January. There were no locals until like the last 2 months of the season. It was completely different than this season. This season was crazy compared to the last season for me. This past season, the changes they made were like so player friendly that I was like, I don't want to, again, some people read my tweets of me supporting circuit changes saying that there were too many points at locals. There was too many points at this. There was saying that as people didn't deserve it. But no, I'm not saying if you got your invite, you deserved it. What I'm saying is if you go 5-4 at a regional, the year I was playing, that never got points. This past year, it got points. And that was a huge change in my mind. Like, that makes the circuit a little bit easier in my mind. If you don't like that statement, sorry, not sorry. That's the way I feel. If you're going 5-4 and getting points consistently, that's, again, they cut that out. There is no chance for you to go 5-4 to regional, get 30 points like as if you won a PC, and still think you're on the path to Worlds now. Now it's the sweatiest competition. As someone who likes challenges, I went into it saying I don't know if I'm one of the best in the world, but I'm going to try to be one of the best in the world. And I finished 64th out of the 109 qualified, and I was so proud of myself. I know a lot of people stopped trying that season after they got their invite. After they reached 300, they stopped trying. After this season, people reached 500 and stopped trying.
Yep.
They got rid of that. And I think that's exciting. I think if you really want it and you really want to go get that invite, you can't chill. There's no time to relax. And that's a challenge. That's really exciting to me, who likes a challenge and wants to try something new. And I don't know if I'm ever going to go for a Worlds invite again. I set myself up well, and I said, you know what, I think I could travel the world playing Pokemon, and before I really try to settle down and find a career and like start saving up for a house and whatnot and like get my life in order, like, you know what, I'm just in this weird flux area in my life. I didn't get into law school. I have a bunch of money saved up for tuition. Let me try to travel and have fun. And I don't think I'm ever going to be blessed enough to do that again. But, like, if I was trying to hit 2 to 3 regionals this year, now I'm just going to go to Brazil, London, and New Orleans. If I'm going to hit 2 to 3 regionals, I'm going to try to hit 2 out of 3 of those. Like, that doesn't change much for me projecting my travel. The GCs, there's 3 GCs.
There's more. They announced they said they're going to be bringing more global challenges this season. So there's going to be a lot more.
I'm going to be grinding close sheet ladder. And if you want to get points, grind close sheet ladder on cart and get good at it. If like there's the locals. I thought it was crazy you could get 480 points out of your 500 to an invite at the local scene. I thought that was a broken system. Now, I think they overcorrected that.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna have fun going to my local scenes. I'm still gonna try and have fun and try to grow the local community, meet people like that, prep with people there, and then when we go to regionals, try to like support. When Tim Edwards did well at EUIC, the entire tri-state region was behind him, backing him. All of America really was. But like, it was so cool to see us New York, New Jersey, Connecticut guys backing him the way we were, and that's not going anywhere. Like, even though the locals are now, we're gonna see each other a lot less. But at the same time, we're still going to have that circuit and that support of your local community. I love the changes. I don't know if I'm one of the top 75 players in North America and Canada. If I'm going to 3 ICs, I'm not going to more than 3 events this season. If I go to all 3 ICs, I think I could really be one of them. I thought though, and like I hope that doesn't discourage people.
Tommy,
take it away. Take it away.
I have such a love-hate relationship with these changes. Okay, I think as a whole, making Worlds harder to qualify for, I think that was something the Pokemon Company was looking to do, and I think that is the correct approach at the circuit. However, and I am, first of all, I'm super hyped for this challenge. I think they went about it the wrong way. There are tons of scenarios where I see top X number of people needing to qualify as being a problem, right? So what if I am working a contract job and I miss the first 3 months of the season? Well, I kiss my invite goodbye. It's gone. Or what if I'm not financially fundable to get to so many events, right? It's very tough to map out the season, right? Back when we had a championship point bar, you could say, okay, if I can go to this regional, and this regional, as long as I'm performing, I'm hitting those numbers and I'm going to hit my numbers that I need to get. Now, there's no guarantee that that's going to be the case. I can map out, like in the back of my mind right now, I'm probably getting 4 regionals. I don't see myself going to more than 4 regionals from where I'm at right now. And I know there's other players that don't see themselves even getting to more than 2, maybe even more than 1, right? Now, like I said, I think if you can get to 2 or 3 regionals from where you are, you should have a chance of qualifying. However, I don't think with this invite system, at 2 to 3 regionals, you are having a chance to qualify for Worlds.
It's 2 to 3 ICs.
Right, and that's my problem. And not everybody has access to that. Not everybody can travel across the oceans. Not like, even like, let's take example, just players from Hawaii. Try getting into the mainland USA. That's crazy expensive. They've basically said anybody from regions like that are going to be incapable of earning an invite simply because they just can't go to nearly as many events. And that's my big issue here. Like, yes, make it harder. I want it to be the best of the best at Worlds. No disrespect to anybody qualifying this Worlds, as Tommy said before. But I think it makes sense from their perspective. They want it to be tough. But make it seem attainable, right? I'm not allowed to take a break with this invite. No. I am not allowed to take a break. And that is very, very bad, I think, for a lot of players. This game should not be played as a grind. This game should not be played as a sprint. This game should be played as a marathon. We saw last year at the beginning, once the circuit changes, we're now at 500. Everybody was panicking. And everybody said, hey, let's take it one step at a time. It's not as bad as it looks. But now I'm starting to think it might be as bad as it looks with this new top whatever qualifies. I think it's a really ugly change. I'm happy for the challenge, but I think the way they went about it is wrong. Conk? Yeah, we haven't let you talk yet.
Yeah, okay. We have the pro, we have the lukewarm. I'm gonna rip this to shreds, honestly. I hate this change so much. I hate it with an absolute passion. Okay, I totally agree we should have had a harder we should have a harder system to qualify for Worlds. And I think what we talked about in the episode that we dropped earlier today was a higher CP bar, right? That makes sense for everybody, where we can get to a point where we can set a high CP bar where, like, okay, we think roughly about 75 players are going to qualify through this method, but it might be, plus 10, minus 10, whatever it is, depending on how people do, depending on how people can go to. With this system, and I think the most egregious change is ICs being included with with the regionals. Having the ICs be where you can get, that's included in your regional BFL, means that every regional you're going to that's not an IC, you're throwing. You're literally throwing away a chance for so much more points. Like, let me just, again, here's some of the point payouts, by the way.
Yeah, read it off.
If you get top 128 at an IC, you get 150 points, right? Like, in this new system. To get roughly that same amount of points, you have to get top 16 at a regional. Top 128 versus top 16.
Yep.
So
What
if
was
you,
it this season for top 16?
I remember it was top 8 and top 128 got the same amount of points.
It
I
was
think it was
100.
100.
Top 8 at a regional this
Yeah.
season was 100, and top
Yeah.
Now they
16
upped
at
it.
a regional was 80. So they basically doubled the
Yeah.
top 16 payout at a regional, and yet they somehow made international championships even more broken.
Like
Yeah.
the winner, I mean, obviously winner top 4 now get their automatic invite, but if you get top 8, you get
Love that.
600 points. Like if you are doing well at these ICs, you are
Yes.
so far ahead, and that requires not, and I just want to be clear about this. It's not about just doing well. It's about first getting into the event, because if you don't make it into their cap, you're screwed. If you are not available to go to Brazil a random weekend in November, or go to London in like April, whatever, my anniversary consistently falls on NAIC weekend. I will never be able to go to NAIC. Like I don't know if I'll be able to go. That just screws me over. You know what I'm saying? Like I could before plan, okay, hey, there's this certain amount of points that I need to allocate, and I can go to this many events, and I think reasonably I can qualify under that, under that schedule. But this really means that okay, you have to go to minimum 14. You have to spend 14 weekends committed to Pokemon.
How do you get that
Because
number? How do you get that 14 number? I didn't ask before.
three ICs, 3 regional, like 6 BFL, right? So 3 ICs, 3 regionals, plus 8 local weekends,
Yep.
right? 4 BFLs for PCs, 4 BFLs for mid-season showdowns or
And that's if
challenges.
you win everything.
Yeah.
And that's if you get points at everything, right? And if you're not getting enough points at those locals, then you really need to go back to those locals, because winning those is like stacks up pretty big time. But also, if you miss points in IC, you're screwed. You
Yeah.
can't make that up. And if you miss a
I
point
love
at a
that.
regional, now you have to spend another weekend to go to a
Yep.
regional. And
Yeah.
I think there was so many ways where this could have been like they fixed cut, so now it's asymmetrical cut.
Yes, we
Great.
have to get into
But
that
then-
too.
But then what they did was they made it so that top 16 gets 160 points at a regional, top 8 gets 280 points. Why
Yeah,
is there
It's crazy.
such
It's crazy.
and there, between cut, you could lose your first round of cut, but if someone had a higher seed, they're gonna be top 8, like you know what I'm saying, or top 16, whatever, and some are gonna be top 8. Like it is absurd. Like every single change that they made, they're like, okay, but here's a good change, and then here's how we can make it so much worse. Like I am like my plan was to not compete for next season anyways, because I'm getting married and stuff. But if this is the case for the season afterwards, like I may give one more shot at this, because like this is just such a time sink. Like it's a
I
money
want you
sink.
guys to convert your points from this season into the new structure, because you guys
And-
are actually
okay.
good players.
I
This
won't
is
make
the
worlds.
only thing I'll say. Last thing I'll say before I hand it off is we do not make enough money for this. We do like the payout needs to be way higher for this to be like a job level,
Okay.
because like we're not making other esport money. So like I don't know.
Guys.
I'm not a fan.
Guys, I have a really hot take, but I think it might be a decent way to look at this. I think if they drop the best finish limits from regional and championship, international championship point events to 1 from ICs, so basically you get to go to 1 IC and you get your best finish from 1 IC, I think that's fair. You know, if you bomb your own IC, then you know what, you get to, if you want to travel outside, go ahead. That's fine. But 1 from
That would've
that,
been perfect.
and I'm talking a severe cut to regionals. Championship points, in theory, don't matter anymore, in my opinion. It really just comes down to, at this point, how many events you're going to. So I think it doesn't matter if payouts from regionals are 10, 5, 2, 1, or 350, 325, right? If you limit them, obviously for some scaling issues, it will matter. But as a whole, if you drop regionals to, in my opinion, maybe 2 or 3, there's a lot more of the player base that's capable of going to 2 or 3 regionals. And yeah, okay, you may only get to 2 or 3 regionals, but if you perform at 2 or 3 regionals, you at least have a chance. Now, if I don't perform at all 6 of the regionals that I have to attend to have a chance, I'm done. Right? There's always going to be somebody that has more chances than me, right? There's going to be somebody with more money, more resources to get to events. They're going to have 10 chances to get 6 finishes at regionals, or 11 chances, however many they go to. There's always going to be someone with more than that. But if they limit that impact to less, right? If I just go to the 2 or 3 that I can go to, and no one can really earn more than that, if I don't perform, then it's on me. Whereas now I could get top 16 at all 3 of these regionals and not make worlds.
Here's compare 2 blind resumes, right? 2 random people. One, and this was a real player, like 45 mice, like incredible player, right? Really good player. he got like
One of the
top
best
8
in the
at
world,
a
in my
regional
opinion.
earlier in the season or something like that. Had another like top 60, and then like had like a okay finish. I forget what his whole season spread looked like, but I remember he was doing really well at fewer regionals. Like
Yes.
does that person deserve to be like? Is a person who's going top 128, top 256 consistently at a lot more events more deserving
No,
if we're really trying to get the best 75
no,
players to be at Worlds
no,
than
Right.
someone who's
absolutely
getting
not, in my opinion.
top 16s, top like
Right.
that's what we're doing. Because if it's
Yes.
like, okay, like this is what the point payout is, and you can get this many points for BFLs, then you're actively harming yourself by not going to an event. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Yes.
hurting yourself, you're hurting your chances at making Worlds large. And I just don't think this made the system where we're getting the best 75 players at Worlds. If that was the goal, I think we would have had more adjustment with the BFLs. It would
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily needs to be top 75, but even if it's top 75, like fix the BFLs then. Like go one way or the other. Either do a CP bar with the higher BFLs or fix the BFLs and go the top like the cut. But they're like, okay, let's just do neither of those, make the worst combination of them, and make it so that you could be actively rooting against your friends at NAIC because they might bubble you out of cut or
Yes.
out of Worlds, out of
Yes.
your invite. Like that's absurd. That is
I
so
don't know,
toxic.
guys.
Like,
I
that's super
so
toxic.
time out though. Like, look at it this way. Like, what would your points have been, say, like when you made second when you got finalists? Conk, you got top 8 before. Like, those are. You shouldn't be worried if you're
Tommy.
gonna go to
Tommy.
regional.
Tommy, hold up.
No,
I don't
that's
qualify.
a great
If you retrograde this,
that's a
I do
great
not
example.
qualify either of my seasons.
I'm not even saying about that, but like let's just say I got top 8, right? How many points do I get? I get 280. You know how much you can get from locals? 260 right now, like with the new structure. So I could do great at an event. I got top 8. If someone just grinded their locals and then like does some other events, like I could be consistently negating those being negated from the placements that I'm doing that are doing well. Someone who is just doing a lot more events could constantly be outpacing me. And that feels bad for someone who's like, okay, I feel like I'm one of the better players at this game,
You
but
are.
I just don't have the time and money to continue to
Yep.
play this game all throughout the entire year. And so now I'm not going to get my invite because of
Yes.
that, you know?
And
That
another
feels
thing,
bad.
I think this would be the perfect system if it was 4 regionals, 6 locals.
Lower.
I think if it was 1 IC. Oh, you think lower than 4?
I
4
think
regionals?
2 or 3. I
3
think 2 or
regionals?
3 for regionals because there's a lot of areas that have crazy good players that just can't get to events. So I think it's
So then,
very
I think
reasonable.
top 128 makes a difference too. If it was 128 players instead of 75, would you guys have the same reaction?
I think they just have to understand what they're like. I don't think TBCI knew what their goal was. Like, if the goal is get the best 75 players, this was not it. If the goal is to get, okay, like, we just want to get mad people spending mad
Yes.
money and just going to a bunch of events, that's fine too. That's what they're trying to do with this. But then I think you need to expand the list of number of players because this 75 discourages a lot of people. So, okay, now you got to get to top 120 or whatever it is so that more people are, okay, we're just going to spam events. We're going to spam events so that we can get our invite. Now you make it still seem realistic, you know what I'm saying, for like people that aren't like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't think
no.
they knew what their goal was and they kind of made a bunch of mixes and it just didn't work.
I'm
That's what my opinion is right now.
I'm fine with it, but I really wish they would take away the wallet warrior system because right now they're rewarding everybody that has the ability to grind events, to go to these international championships, to go to these regional championships. I think if, like I said, if they just hinder those best finish limits, I don't mind this many people make worlds because like I don't mind that bar. I think it's challenging. I think it's going to be very rewarding when you hit it, but I think right now it's like Conk said, it's not rewarding the best 75 players in the game. It is rewarding the 75 players with the most amount of resources. Now, granted, there's going to be some exceptions. There's going to obviously be maybe like a random international winner that just shows up, gets 750 points, and capitalize off of that. Right? There are going to be some exceptions, and there are going to be really good players going to Worlds. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I just wish they would have somehow done this in a way that would have limited the wallet warriors. But
The one tweet that made me think about it too was Chuppa. He got 42nd last time it was top 40 invites.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when that was, but Chuppa's a killer for years now. And I feel like if he's missing worlds, then there was something wrong, you know? I don't know if he was always as dominant as he is now, but at the same time, it's like he got to be one of the best players in the world by by doing his thing and playing this game. And like to see him being like, I have strong feelings on this new system was the only thing that made me be like, okay, maybe this isn't the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like they're trying. It feels like they're trying to make it into like one of like the big esport kind of organization like style, but like then we just don't have like they're not supporting us in the way that we need a lot more payout. Then we need to be able to like brand a little bit more, like so have people sponsor people, stuff like that, because then people can,
Yeah.
okay, like if you're gonna fully commit to that route, that's fine, a lot of games do.
Just do it right.
Then it needs to like you need to fully commit to that route so that people can make this their job if they want to, you know what I'm saying? Like then you can like, okay, they can really afford to like, you can make a profit off of doing well. Like you should, that's what should be able to happen, like a real profit if you're going to go this route. And I don't think they didn't do that, and they made it so, okay, like, hey, Wallet Warrior for the whole season, but really you're not going to get much out of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, cool, like you got your World's Invite, that's cool, you can say it's one of the top 75, but like probably broke even, maybe you probably lost money still, like honestly, like,
Yeah.
and now you got to pay to go to Worlds, wherever fancy place they put it, and I don't know, like just feels like they just didn't choose a direction. But all right,
it's good.
We're towards the end here. Any last
Can I
thoughts?
say one last thought?
Yeah, go for it.
What would make you guys throughout the season be like, you know what, this wasn't so bad? Is there any path to that
there
right
was
now?
like some vague language about something that was like a CP style
LCQ type thing
still implemented. So I don't like.
Yeah, they said something somewhere about having I found it. The Play Pokemon program is committed to creating the best possible experience for Pokemon competitors and fans. Oh no, I did not find it. That was the wrong section.
Okay. Apparently, like there was something, but I think what
I saw it too. I thought there's going to be like implied an LCQ, a last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way,
I just think like the IC BFL is like the biggest like thing to overcome. Yeah. I think that is the hardest thing to overcome for me.
The regional structure has kind of changed as well. I think that's actually very important to note. It is now Swiss +1 in terms of rounds. So generally, based on where we're looking at right now, you're gonna have about 8 rounds day 1. 6 and 2 or better is going to advance to day 2, and there's going to be less rounds day 2 because instead of it being like a full-on day 2, it's going to be basically finishing off the Swiss rounds from the day before. So basing this off the 513 to 1,000 player mark, 8 rounds day 1 into 3 rounds day 2. It's a lot less to get to top cut, but you do have to do a little bit better because you don't have a whole day 2. It's probably going to look at 9 and 2, I think, is probably going to make cut because it's asymmetrical. So the 8th seed is going to end up 9 and 2 or 8 and 3 on a lower participant one. So as a whole, 8 and 3 is going to potentially give you a chance at winning. That's going to be top cut, whatever the asymmetrical cut ends up being. So I think that's a decent change. I am totally for the Swiss +1 in terms of rounds. There's a few things wrong with it, but if I start getting into that, guys, we're going to be here for years.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm not as good as you two, and I'm like, I think I'm good enough to fucking do it. Hey, if I get to ICs, it's like, I don't get it. You guys are good at the game.
Tommy, I don't have money.
Not even about me like, trying to qualify. I like genuinely, it's not about like, oh, what are my chances? If it's too hard for me to qualify, or if it's hard, like I can qualify. That to me is not really the principle of pay to win, you know, versus like, okay, like I can like do well at like 4 events, but if I don't go to 6 events, I still may not qualify. You know what I'm saying? I could do really.
I think I can qualify on 3 ICs. Am I crazy for that? Am I in La La Land?
Okay, Tommy, what do you think your placement at those 3 ICs is going to be?
Super well.
Just take a shot.
I think I've gotten better. I hope to get top 64, top 128 at 2 out of 3 of those.
Okay, so I'll give you top 32 at all 3 ICs. I will give you top 33 at all 3 ICs. Or sorry, top 32. That will qualify. If you get top 64 right now at all 3 of them, and you get
I got 64th at top 64 at NAIC.
And I'm not saying you're not going to do that again. I'm saying 750 points will not secure an invite.
No, but with the GCs, with the locals, with everything else on top of the GCs, I think you don't. If you are planning on going to 2 to 3 events Go to London, go to New Orleans, go to Brazil, go to New Orleans. Try to make 2 of them ICs, and I'm probably going to drive to Pittsburgh or Baltimore, wherever
you have to get into them, though. That's the problem.
That is the problem. That's the problem.
You have to get into them.
Yeah. Like, I'm planning to go to 2 of the 3 events.
Like, here's the thing, though. And you don't know.
You gotta
everyone who's trying to qualify is gonna. Everyone who's trying to qualify is gonna be trying to get into all 3 ICs.
Right, and the problem is you don't know if you're gonna get into them at the beginning of the year. So if I'm banking on going to, let's say, EUIC and NAIC, so I skip LAIC and I try to go, and then I try to get into EUIC. What if I just don't get in? If that was my plan, my season's done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's
a problem.
Anyways,
that's a big problem.
I gotta wrap this up. Yeah. I gotta wrap this up here.
This was fun.
If you're wrapping it up for me, keep going. If you're wrapping it up for me, keep going. I'll delay my stream at this point. Let's roll with it. Let's roll with it. We're here. We're heated. Let's talk.
Let's keep going then. Let's keep going. This is too good. I don't know. Like, where else can we take this? Because I think there's.
Time out. Dunk, do you think you could go to London this year?
So, okay, like, looking at my season this year is, like, not a bad example. So, I went to 1 IC, right? I went to 1 IC. I think I went to Pittsburgh, Sacramento. I think I went to Sacramento, Knoxville, Charlotte, and Indy. So, 5 regionals? I went to 6 events, right? Went to 6 events. And the thing is, even if I do well, like, I got a couple day 2s in there. Like, I did okay. Like, it wasn't like an amazing season, but it was a solid season. It was fine. But I can do well. Like, I can day 2, like 3 of those events. I can do well, like several of those events. But someone who didn't day 2 any of the ICs but got points is outpacing me. Like very hard outpacing me. You know what I'm saying?
I think they just need to fix the BFLs.
Player. What's that?
I'll be on board if they fix the BFLs.
Yeah, if they fix IC BFL and make that 1, and then change the regional BFL
3,
a little bit
4,
lower,
whatever number it ends up needing to be.
I wouldn't hate the new changes. Because then it's like, okay, you know what? Like, the goal is we're trying to get the best 75 players in every region, and like you have your opportunities. Like you have because you can have not like every best player. All of our top players don't do amazing at every single event, right? Like, there's so many events where, like, a Joe, a Paul Chua, like, all these guys will be like, oh, damn, went 6-3, wasn't my day. Like, I had a terrible flight, whatever it was, just wasn't my day. But they're still, like, UIC champion, like, later on. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just, like, crushing it later on in the season. They're clearly one of the best players in the world. And I'm not saying that they're the ones that are not going to be qualifying like that, but I'm saying, like, there's a Patrick Connors, right, who won NAIC. If he got top 8 at NAIC, right? Let's say he just got top 8 and had the rest of the season and he's still a super good player like that. He's not going to qualify though. Like I mean, I don't know what the rest of the season was, but example, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think this system would be perfect if it was 1 IC, lower regionals, and everything else the same. I think it would be perfect.
I'm fine with the challenge, but they're scaring people away, making people have to attend 6 or 7 events.
No, new players should not get scared away from this. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that, but it's like, if this is your first season actually trying, Worlds isn't supposed to be easy.
I get
Were you just going to show up and try to do well? Like, if you didn't think you were one of the top 75 players, why are you spending money to go to Worlds? I really thought I had a chance to go and get day 2 with hard trick room at Worlds when I went. Maybe call me delusional. I really, truly felt that I was one of the best players in the world the year I went to Worlds. I don't care what anyone else thought. I don't care what anyone... I was in my head saying, you know what? I qualified. I can do this. Let's go. And that's what your mentality should be. If you're just trying to get to Worlds to scrub out, what are you doing playing?
No,
I don't get that mentality. Just have fun then. Don't worry about Worlds.
Here's the thing, Tommy. It's one of those ones that... it's so much easier to see a chance at Worlds when it is a bar, because you can look at it and kind of in your head kind of map things out, and then you can commit, this is my grind, this is my training montage. If it was a movie, it would cut to some like training montage arc, and it would then fast forward to like the last event. But like, it's so much easier to see where you need to end up. The problem is you look at this, and any new player may look at the bar and say, okay, how do I qualify? Just because they're curious, right? Do I want to start playing? They look. I don't know. When I started looking, I looked, right? Like, I look at what it is. Now, I'm not saying, like, seeing anything should discourage you. I'm not saying it would. But I'm saying, naturally, they may look at this and say, oh, only the top best 75. I am not the best 75 yet. I'm just going to not start playing. Or I don't think I'll ever be the best 75. Now, I'm not saying that's a good mentality to have.
It's a wrong mentality,
That could be a bad mentality. But I'm saying you are going to turn people away before they give it a chance, right? Right.
And they would never be a world champion.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll take it even less drastic than that, right? Let's say there's someone who's planning a their new player, right? They're like a newer player. They're like a Justin Tang, right? Let's just say they're like him, right? Or it's like,
awesome.
okay, this guy can be cracked, or someone who is newer in the scene can be a cracked player if he gets the right team at the right opportunity, whatever it is. Patrick Connors, Tim Edwards, whoever it is. And they're planning out their season when the season starts. And they're like, okay, you know what? I can go to one IC, maybe like a couple regionals. And then there's a couple regionals where they're like on the fringe of going. They're like, I have stuff that weekend, but like I kind of want to go. But now they've looked at, only top 75 are gonna get invites, so probably not worth it. That's a person that could have done super well at that. Like, we're getting robbed of seeing like a lot more of these like underdog. Oh man, like he came out of nowhere and won this tournament, or did super like top 8 this tournament. Like, who is this player now? Like, I don't know. I think that really hits home for me personally, because that was me. That was literally me. 2023 was I got a couple top 64s, top 128 or something like that. And I was like, you know what? There was one fringe regional left, Milwaukee, and I wasn't planning on going initially, but I was like, you know what? 100 points away from Worlds, where it's like, okay, it's a real goal I can see in my mind. I'm like, you know what? Let me go. And I go out and I get top 8, at like a pretty stacked tournament. It was an incredible experience for me, and it was also something where it's like, okay, now I've made so many more friends in the community. It's awesome for that. And those types of people are going to be like, oh, those fringe events. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to spend the money, or I have another thing that weekend. Like, I'm not going to move stuff around because it's just not going to be worth it, because I know that I'm not going to be able to make it in the top 75 race,
And we
and
never would have got blessed with the chant. I loved chanting for you in the crowd. When I say conk, you say donk, conk, donk. Like, us going nuts, me and Joey and all your friends going nuts for you wouldn't have happened if you didn't decide to go to that fringe event. So that's a great argument too.
Right?
Like, it's not like I wasn't going to be like, oh, I'm not going to try it all this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still going to try, but like, I may not go to that extra one, the extra 2 event where it's like, oh, I could have done really, like, we're getting robbed of some of those underdog stories, which kind of sucks.
It's a little unfortunate. I think there's a lot of negative here. I do think I like the concept. I really like the concept of what they were trying for. I'm excited for the challenge. I just think they went about it wrong. I think they didn't do enough to limit the wallet warrior. Otherwise, I think I'd be happy. I'm happy with the extra challenge. I'm happy with the regional Swiss round stuff. I'm happy with the asymmetrical top cut. Those are all pluses. I just really wish they would have done a lot more with the BFLs to help limit the wallet warrior. I get they want people to play their game, but this is not the way they should be getting people to play their game, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, like, locals BFL lowered to 4. I think that's good. I mean, I don't. It's 5?
No, I said that's fine. I said it's fine. It's 4. It's 4. It is 4.
Yeah, I think it would be perfect.
It is 4.
It is 4 and 1 IC. Perfect.
I'm cool with it. Like, also, I just, like, again, because it's like honestly the most random thing to me. But why is top 16 and top 8 like so, like, the only really drastic?
That's
like,
really funny.
I just so everyone knows, who if you haven't read it yet, but like at a regional, top 4 is 300 points, top 8 is 280 points, and then it drops all the way to 160, top 16, and then it goes to top 132 is top 125 points. Like, normal progression after that and before that, but that drop is different. And it's the same at ICs. It's like 50-point progression each stop, except for between top 8 and top 16, it's 200 points. I don't know.
I've never got a top 8. I still think I'm talented enough to try to get a top 8 at a tournament. I just haven't done it yet. I've beat players that have been there. I've played well against players that have been there. I've lost to players that have been there. I think I could do it. And I think everyone listening, if you really think you could do it too, then this shouldn't discourage you. And these 2 guys sitting next to me right now have done top 8s before and will do it again. And they will get invited in the future. And it's just, Don't give up. Never give up. If you think you're one of the best in the world, you can still qualify.
Absolutely.
I don't care. I don't care how many events you go to.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
sure.
Tommy. It's just, you know, it's one of those ones where if you think you're gonna do it and you have the drive to do it, go out there, put your heart out, put everything on the line, and see if you can make it. Absolutely. But there's gonna be players out there that don't have that type of confidence. You know, that want to see that CP bar and slowly start chipping away at it. You know, it's just a different mindset. I agree with you, Tommy. I think that the challenge is great. Put your heart to it if you think you're up there. Because personally, I would love to put myself in this circuit to the best of my ability and say, hey, I think I can be one of the best 75 players in North America. Frankly, I think I can. But in a position where I am right now, I don't think I'm qualifying just based on my financial position. But this circuit and my complaints have nothing to do with my current position. I just genuinely think they're not limiting the Wall Warriors enough. Like, there's tons of players. We're going around in circles here, guys.
I gotta say one more thing.
Yeah, say it.
Super funny. It's gonna be like, so I think it's hilarious and also gonna be so tragic that they eliminated bubbling out of cut, but now they've introduced bubbling out of worlds, and I think that is gonna be the most heartbreaking thing ever. So I am like, that is not the best. But I agree with Tommy. I want to say the last thing is like, I think now the mentality is like, especially if you're like concerned about like, go into every event super intentional on winning. Because if you can just win, like obviously if you can just win, but like
Auto invite.
that should be your goal. Now your goals are aligned in every way. Win a tournament and make worlds. Happens immediately. And that was always the case, but now it's like the added pressures there was like, if you don't think you could do the top 75 like wall warrior race, go into it and be super intentional about each tournament you're going into, make the most of it and try to win. And what's great is Ryan and I are just gonna get top 4 at Worlds this year anyway and auto qualify, and we'll be fine.
Oh, Tommy,
I believe it.
Conk, I don't have that confidence. I am.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
I believe it. I'm that confident in both of you.
Do I think?
I think you could do anything.
I think I have the skills to do it. I just don't think I'm confident enough to actually perform on the world stage right now. I don't think I have not had a strong enough season to even justify putting myself in conversation for making day 2 at Worlds right now. That, in my opinion, I cannot put myself in conversation for that based on the season I've had. Do I think I could show up and have an underdog run at Worlds? Absolutely. But I have not had the season to say that I'm going to be at top 4 at Worlds and just have my invite for next year. I have not had the season. I cannot say that.
Where there's delusion, there's hope, right? We got this. We got this. All right, I'll wrap us up here. This was a great emergency episode. I think we covered a lot here. Let us know what you think about the new rules, please, 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 because I am super curious what everyone else thinks. So, please let us know in the comments, and yeah, we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
Love you. Love you.